Outside of transportation funding in general, it became very clear to me very quickly upon taking this job that the utility issue and the Trans 220 issue was something that could not be ignored.
I've spent a lot of time within the WTBA committees trying to come to a solution on this issue.
We've been talking about it since I got here in 2001.
And it was clear on this one, failure is not an option.
Steve pulled the group together, myself, Elise, Kevin, Jody.
The key seemed to be, how do we get compensated when our work is affected, our costs are increased, and our projects are delayed?
I was uniquely suited to tackle this issue in that I came directly from the utility world. I spent 10 years working in that industry. So when I came over here to WTBA in 2021, it was actually really fun to sit down with Matt Grove.
Matt Grove, I'm the Director of Engineering and Construction at the WTBA. We really dug through a lot of that information that the members had come up with.
And I just thought, from talking to Steve, we could get to the heart of the matter. Maybe we don't fix everything, but maybe we can address the most important piece for our members.
There's the old cliche that how do you eat an elephant? You take it one bite at a time, and that's really how we had to do this. We had to start building coalitions.
Well, there was a lot of frustration around this issue for many years, and I think the fact that Elise had her relationships within the industry and her knowledge of the industry really helped us come together and restart these discussions.
So in our case, we wanted to talk about safety, about the cost to the taxpayer. And around the square, we started to pull in partners. I realized we were much closer than I ever thought.
It was critically important that we work with WMC and the utility partners, talking with other groups that are impacted by the legislation, giving them what they need to get their buy-in, and that takes time.
Once they signed off on the draft, we started to add a couple different layers of stakeholders. So then we'd have to go back and make sure everyone else was still on board if indeed we made this change. And that process took months and months.
We started to look at what's in the realm of the possible. What can we attack? Where can we make progress? When Lane came in, it was a real game changer for us because all of a sudden you could get a whole nother dimension.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Steve drops a lot of cliches.
Sausage making was a force multiplier, this massive tangled knot of a problem.
I mean, a lot of cliches.
People say that the best referees are the ones that aren't noticed.
There is one that really kind of hit home with me, and that is the Steveism, facts tell, stories sell. And he's right.
I can walk into a Capitol office and I know that the legislator will know me and trust me, but it always helps when any of our members come tell the story.
They were great. We met earlier in the day and gave us a brief of what we're going to talk about, and then it was up to us to really tell our story.
Critical to this process. I mean, being able to do pictures and video, social media pushes, newsletter articles, made all the difference in the world.
I think the real pinnacle of the effort was probably the committee hearing. We had members engaged telling their stories.
It was a little intimidating, but I knew we had a good story to tell. And what was interesting is, as we were speaking, they were asking us questions, they were engaged.
It was extremely powerful, I think, and you could see the committee's reaction to it.
We just crossed our fingers that there wouldn't be any more hiccups, because you never quite know. I think my number one rule in politics is that nothing's as ever simple as it seems.
A history of mistrust and strong feelings around this issue really did complicate the situation. I think it made it very difficult to discuss the issue and ultimately come to a resolution.
There were quite a few amendments and a lot of back and forth with many different players in the industry. Matt and I spend a lot of time looking at what people want or what they're asking for and think, okay, how does this work in a real world situation?
My job is to keep people informed, up to speed about the association, and ideally optimistic about the process, but I'd be lying if I didn't say there were times where your fingers are crossed and you're going, I hope nothing goes wrong.
There was this moment that it had passed both houses unopposed. Here's an issue that we'd worked on for nearly a decade, and to finally fix this felt really good. But I also just love working for this industry. The family-owned business piece resonates with me deeply, and it just, I love working hard for these guys.
It was a long time coming, and it felt really good to make it happen.
I wish it hadn't taken as long as it did, but you savor it and then you move on to the next challenge.
At the end of the day, it looked easy to an outsider because of all the amazing work that was done. When I look at effective advocacy, I look at it more in the context of a hit song or a show or a musical. Matt and Jody getting the words, getting the legal, getting the legislative language, the technical, all of that down. They provide the words. And then you have people like Lane and Kevin who give you the snappy packaging, the visual pizzazz, the stuff that adds a hook to those words that makes it interesting to people. And then you've got Elise, our star performer on stage, being out front and being the face of the issue and building the relationships. And when that all comes together, the words, the music, the performer, and all of those things are right, it is amazing what you can get done. It is amazing the energy you can bring to an issue. It is amazing the energy you can bring to an organization.